Einstein. Oh, God. There's a new show on National Geographic. We're going to talk about Einstein, the fraud that he is, and a little bit about his life, a little bit about his political views. But here's a couple clips from the first episode of Einstein, or it's called Genius, right? Because he's like become the archetype for genius, the smartest man on the planet.
That's correct.
Right?
Exactly.
Albert.
May I have your autograph, sir? I want to be a scientist just like you.
Even Nazi kids admire him.
May I help you?
Albert Einstein, your reputation precedes you. We respect the true rebel. Speak!
Natura naturans. Everything is connected. It's an idea I've been considering for a while now.
Brilliant.
That I stole
Aristotle
from
and the
other
philosophers
people.
of Greece never thought about this.
Forces that nobody fully understands.
Except me.
Let me study on my own.
Rebellion will get you nowhere in life.
He was a rebel.
Natural, it is a construct of
A Jew.
Be quiet.
I wanted to know how. How can something drive
An outsider.
They were just jealous of his brilliance.
I want my ideas to be heard, to be acknowledged. Be my partner.
He wants shekels.
In life.
He wants to marry his cousin, which he did.
When I was your age, I knew everything, but I was wrong.
Please don't do what you always do. Hide in your work.
From the smallest molecule to the largest galaxy, I intend to find the answers.
You only care
Right.
about yourself. How could you be so careless with my heart?
This is the woman he ripped everything off from, by the way. Mileva.
Why
He
can't I
beat
have
her,
you?
too. He was very
Yes.
cruel to
Yeah.
her.
Expert on the universe, you don't know the first thing about people.
Stand up for Germany!
Nazis.
Yes.
Nazis. There it is.
Cannot be kept by force.
Albert, I am scared.
It may not be safe for you to remain in Berlin.
We're not going anywhere else.
And I will not sit by and wait for fascists to kill my husband.
That's right.
You have a history of controversy, which calls into question your loyalties.
My loyalties?
That's right.
Yeah, your loyalties.
That's right, commie.
Present.
He hated Germans in Germany.
Is
All right.
button.
Let's play some of the clips.
Well,
from
so
this
there it is. So
crap
anyway, yeah.
show.
So you get the idea. It's the same. Every time we play these trailers, you know, it's just over the top music, and it's just the drama and the emotion, and I'm drawn in. And oh my God, it's a hero and a rebel and an outsider and a conqueror, and he's fighting fascism and Nazis.
And they were just jealous of his
everything, you know.
brilliance. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very annoying. It's incredibly annoying. But
Yeah.
whatever. It is what it is. So let's talk a bit about Einstein, right? Let's try to figure out, like, who is this guy? Why is he pushed in this position that he is? And let's just head into it, Lana. Go ahead.
All right. Well, in 1895, Einstein, he failed a simple entrance exam to an engineering school in Zurich. Okay, he was a dropout. He was a dropout student. He was cruel to his first wife. He beat her. He cheated on her. Then he married his cousin, who he cheated on constantly. He estranged from his sons. He left them with no money, although he had it. He was a Marxist who hated McCarthy for hunting commies. In fact, he was mentioned by Stalin's Soviets as a close friend. This TV show says, oh, he was just an internationalist. No, he was a commie. He says he was a pacifist, but he wanted war with Germany. He actually wanted to genocide Germans. There was a quote where he said, the Germans can be killed or constrained after the war, but they cannot be re-educated to a democratic way of thinking and acting. It is hoped that by war's end, they will largely have been killed off. Albert Einstein said this. At Lincoln University, California, Einstein gave a speech in which he called racism a disease of white people and added, I do not intend to be quiet about it. But he was vehemently anti-nationalist and anti-white, but very, very pro-Jewish. In fact, he was offered a presidency of Israel. He politely declined the offer by saying, I'm deeply moved by the offer from our state of Israel and at once saddened and ashamed that I cannot accept. He was a hardcore Zionist but opposed nationalism at every turn for Europeans. In fact, he wanted to crush it. So what did he give us anyway? Everything is relative, moral relativism. Nothing is certain. No such thing as an absolute. Anything goes. What is truth anyway? There's no meaning except relativism, of course, right? So only his view of the universe is the right one that we're all choking to death on, right? Many physicists disagree with his theories because that's all they are, is theories. Well, how has he even gotten this big in the first place? Well, it's a fact that his work was not only twisted, unscientific ideas, but that it was science that was plagiarized. I know Red Ice did a show on this, a great show on this, covering this in detail. His writings included his popular 1924 book, Meaning of Relativity, which was plagiarized from the Lorentz transformation, plagiarism of the mass energy equivalence, largely based on the work of George Fitzgerald and Hendrik Lorentz, Irish and Dutch theoretical physicists, and also the work of French physicist Henri, help me with this, Poincaré.
Henri Poincaré.
There you go. He developed
Henri Poincaré.
There you go. He developed a theory of relativity years before Einstein. And it gets worse. Plagiarism of Paul Gerber's groundbreaking work on the speed of gravity. Okay, this was a German guy. And the idea that the speed of light was a constant and was independent of the motion of its source was not Einstein's at all, but was proposed by the Scottish scientist James Maxwell in 1878. Also, Bernhard Riemann, a German, was the first to develop a sound non-Euclidean geometry, which is the basis of all the math he used to describe relativity. Also, it goes on, Heinrich Hertz, the father of the unit of frequency Hertz, right, sound vibration, discovered that electrodes illuminated with ultraviolet light and they create electric sparks more easily. Well, in 1905, Einstein published the paper explaining the same experiment from Hertz's photoelectric effect, and it was actually Hertz's discovery that led to the quantum revolution, yet Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1921 for the discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect. Okay? It goes on. Nikola Tesla, he could not stand Einstein. In fact, he called him an old crank. He gave a scathing analysis of Einstein's relativity theory, calling it a magnificent mathematical garb, which fascinates, dazzles, and makes people blind to the underlying errors. The theory is like a beggar clothed in purple whom ignorant people take for a king. He said this in 1935. John Murray Cudahy, a brilliant known sociologist, said Einstein was motivated by a desire to distort and destroy Western science. Very, very accurate. Dayton Clarence Miller, president of Britain's Royal Astronomical Society, disagreed with all Einstein's theory. He had his own absolute space theory, which is interesting. And it goes on. 100 prestigious Austrian and German scientists denounced him in this book, 100, I don't know how to say it, Otterengegen, I'll pull it up right here, accused him of being a pseudo-mysticism and pseudo-mystic and just speculating everything, basically. 100 scientists. H.L. Mencken, there's sound reason for believing that Einstein will not hold up in the long run. His curved space may be classed with psychosemantic bumps of Gall and Spurzheim, two other brilliant scientists. So the point is, we wouldn't be in the Stone Age without him, hardly. We'd be cultivating other planets by now, right? And then people who say, oh, you're just jealous of him, or, oh, it's because he's Jewish. No, it's because he was a thief, a liar, and a plagiarist, and an awful person in his private life, and true brilliant people couldn't stand him, and they viewed him as a crackpot and a liar and a plagiarist because he was. And Einstein criticized scientists he felt threatened by true geniuses like Erwin Schrödinger, quantum theory, Werner Heisenberg, Hilbert Planck. He was actually the jealous one who was attacking all these, but he was propped up as the archetype of brilliance, genius, and science, the smartest man alive. And he was a Jew, right? So he's just a pure creation, basically, of a Jewish media hype that was manufactured in the 1920s, basically like a pop star. But he was a commie who failed his college entrance exam and shamelessly ripped off true geniuses. So he's all smoke and mirrors. He's a fraud, people. And I don't know if you guys have heard this before, but it's massive. Germany, Henrik, as you said, was thriving. I mean, just amazing minds were coming out of Germany in this time. It's not like Einstein took Germany out of some kind of Stone Age and they were not going to advance without his brilliance, right?
Yeah, let me just back up there a little bit. I feel that they have really pushed the envelope and they've made it really clear in this one what it really was, the forces that was fighting at the time, and why they went with Einstein as the choice, basically. Because this is at a time when German science and physics and everything else is at its prime, it's at its height, right? So there's something to be said about why they chose Einstein and how this has helped to dominate our minds of the very foundational aspects of reality itself, right? If you can, I mean, think about that, the deeper impact of that. If you can dominate the very core aspect of how we relate to the real world itself, you can, from that viewpoint, right, you can actually dominate quite a bit. And in this case, of course, it's a foundation of relativity which dominates, as opposed to a foundation of absolutism, right? And those are really the forces. Is it, we can't really know moral relativism and just why we don't, it depends on, in a way, the quantum quackery that we've kind of seen come out of some of the outcrops of this field as well. And I know there is some interesting aspect there. I'm not denying that, but I think that the main premise of the model as we have it right now of the universe and our understanding of it is just false. And I think that Einstein has helped to contribute to this. But if we just for a moment go back to the series and talk about some of the things that actually are in there, just to show you a couple of excerpts and a couple of clips. The first one that I noted when I'm watching it through last night is the idea, again, of the constant outsider, right? That Einstein is someone who's he fits that classical Jewish archetypal man of the perpetual outsider. He doesn't fit into the group. This is a virtue, of course, which makes him much better. And in one of the first scenes when he's in school, we can see this as he chooses to look at the books instead of actually getting into the physique of the rest of the German people in class. just take a look at this.
Come on. Double angle formulas.
Taken out by the blonde guy.
Yep.
Beg your pardon, Herr Einstein.
That's right. So he has this, again, they put the blonde guy in there beating him up. It's like immediately it's like this is an ethnic struggle, right?
Yeah.
But he's smart. He's going to outsmart them. He's the one who's with the brains. He's not into this conformity thing of like being one of the group. Well, like, you're a Jew. You don't feel connected to the German people. Your sense of why nationalism is stupid is, of course, because you don't belong to that group. But when it comes to Israel, then, of course, Einstein had tremendous respect and admiration for this way of life. If he's intelligent, he should be able to see this. But it's not about that. It's about them winning, right? So let's move on to the next clip. Here they actually talk about a day of mourning that had been initiated, I believe, by the German government for one of the Bolshevik Jews, as they say in the series, right? And he's arguing why this shouldn't be recognized. We should forget about him and we should just move on. It's amazing how they put these things into the show and they make it so clear. I'm surprised by that they really like put it out there and say this: the sides that you were picking or choosing at that time was basically communism and basically an invading ideology into German society, or you went with Germany, who of course are Nazis and fascists and racists and all that kind of stuff. But let's check out this dialogue that Einstein is having with another convert, I believe.
I've known you for over a decade, Albert. You despise British formality. You despise American exceptionalism.
I also despise German nationalism.
So do most Germans. The country has declared a national holiday for Walter's funeral tomorrow, for God's sake. Elsa is overreacting.
Do you know what I find extraordinary about you, Fritz Hubbard?
It might be my brilliant mind or my scintillating wit, but knowing you, you're not about to flatter me.
That you see yourself as one of them and not as one of us.
One of us? You talk like a Zionist.
No, I'm a realist.
And I'm a German patriot, a proud war veteran and a devout Christian.
Really, Fritz? You are proud of your military service? You may have changed your religion, but don't think for a second you can change your heritage.
Is that how you really see me? As some sort of fraud?
Oh, it's not how I see you that matters. It's how men like this Adolf Hitler character see you.
Adolf Hitler is a loudmouth art school reject with a handful of supporters in a country of 60 million. He'll be gone in a year.
Tell that to the esteemed Professor Leonard. Read it to me.
Albert Einstein should hereby be barred from attending the annual Conference for German Science on grounds that his theory of relativity offends against the common sense of scientists?
I'm quite certain.
That's right.
All the restraint he could muster not to refer to relativity as a Jewish theory.
Forget Leonard. He's just jealous of your success.
Perhaps.
There it is.
Right.
That's what they
Look how
think.
many others have signed it.
And so that's what you talked about there, Lana, with the many people signing at the time. Many German scientists were like, what is
brilliant.
this? This
True
theory is
brilliant
just
people.
completely out of whack. What's going
Mumbo-jumbo,
on? Mumbo jumbo.
yeah.
There's no foundation which is based in reality on it.
And the things that
this
he did
aspect that
use, he ripped off.
Yeah, this aspect that they actually managed to put this into the documentary is very interesting because it shows you the choices that were made at the time. I mean, I think it's accurate, to be honest, but I think it's just that it's from the point of view that naturally Einstein was the right one. You know, he was proven to be right. These evil Nazis and racists and Germans and all this kind of stuff, they basically, if they would have gotten their way, they would have murdered the smartest guy in the universe just for the sake of the fact that he was Jewish, right? So it weaves in this morality into it that, I mean, thank God that they didn't kill Einstein. If these fascists would have gotten their way, you know, who knows what the hell happened? We would have been back in the Stone Age by now. When I think the opposite is true, Lon. I think that if the advancement of the society and the country that was the most advanced at the time had managed to take off from where they were scientifically at that point, averting the Second World War, averting the First, of course, as well. We would have, I mean, Alex Jones talking about the Renaissance all the time and stuff like that. I mean, we would have been like exploring space by now at this point.
Exactly. You know, Albert also wrote an article for Time magazine on why Jews are superior. It was titled that. No problem. You know, no problem. Jews are superior. So that was his view. He actually was very much a Jewish supremacist, very much resented and hated the German people. So then once a lot of Jews got in control of the media, they really propped him up as this archetype for brilliance and the one and only genius. When you think of science, you think of Einstein, so that you always think of them, basically.
Yeah, it is this archetype. I remember in Artificial Intelligence, another movie by Steven Spielberg, where he depicts, you know, they have this robot, artificial intelligence system in the future where you can go in, it's a machine, it's a computer, you can ask it questions and search and things like this, and it has that look with the wacky hair and you know, the tongue sticking out and all that. You know, it's like, yeah, exactly, the nose. It's like they have managed to sell him as the archetypal man of wisdom, and
it should be Tesla.
Tesla. That's right.
I mean,
yeah.
God, Tesla is just amazing. If you guys haven't looked into Nikola Tesla, talk about brilliance. I mean, he is just mind-blowing, right? And actually, I feel cheated by all this Einstein junk. You know, I grew up thinking, oh, Einstein, you know, like we all do. He has the same birthday as me, by the way. Ugh, I hate that. But anyway, I feel cheated because of all these amazing European scientists, these amazing European men, all this work we've never heard of before, stuff that could just be revolutionary beyond our dreams, truly great geniuses of our time, and they haven't been recognized. I mean, Tesla's hardly been recognized. Yeah, see the handsome genius on the left versus the ugly charlatan on the right. I mean, God, it just sums it all up, you know? And we're like going based on his view of the universe. I would much rather go the handsome genius on the left. I want to see his view of the universe. And actually, he was into eugenics. He was anti-feminist. There was like so many parallels with him and a lot of what we believe today.
You know, what's so disgusting about all of this is that it seems that their success is built on our genocide, right? As white people, as Germanic people in particular, I would say, because they were at their prime at this time. If they would have ended up dominating, I think it would have set the world free, to be honest, in a weird way. I know that that's contradictory to newcomers, to everything that you might have ever heard. But the reality is that these are the charlatans that they put before us, the people's champions, you know, these people who are going to be our saviors, right? And it's very important that it comes from a man who they can control the image of, completely controlled. It also relates, of course, to how our mental state as human beings, of how we relate to the universe when everything is relative and there aren't any absolutes according to our very science. How can there be moral absolutism, right? Yeah. How can we make a distinction that this is evil and this is good and this is what it is, right?
And as we know, it's been, as Kevin MacDonald tells us too, moral relativism comes from a lot of Jewish sociologists, right? So it goes hand in hand. And this is basically their constructs, their ideas of the world and how we should be that we are living in right now.
I also feel, let's take a look at just a couple of more clips from the first episode of this show, Genius, that we're talking about. And it's very interesting how they always speak to the current ages, the current time in these. This is a timepiece. It's supposed to play out at, 70 years ago, even more, 80 years ago. But, of course, they managed to speak to us in our time of what is moral, what is evil, what is wrong, and these kinds of things, right? But here's more on this discussion that the university professors are having about this day that they're going to have to the one of the communist professors. Listen to this.
A national day of mourning has been declared. The University of Heidelberg must respect it.
A national day of mourning for a Bolshevik Jew who bankrupted our nation and left behind a generation of jobless young men? No, thank you. The death of Walter Rathenau should be cause for celebration, not mourning.
Professor.
No. This funeral is a garish spectacle, led by left-wing radicals like Albert Einstein to paint German patriots as criminals.
Philip, I'm begging you. As your friend, don't let old skirmishes cloud your vision.
If that is what you think this is, sir, then we are not friends.
Yeah, so, I mean, look at that. I mean, it's like, again, they're very truthful about this. They're openly now stating, it's like, if you side with this guy, Einstein, you're siding with, and they say this in the clip, the communist Jewish infiltrator, right? They don't actually debunk and say that this is wrong or anything like that. This is just a view that they had. And it was it was about Walter Rathenau that they wanted a national day of mourning to. But it's I don't know. It's just very interesting that they are so bold in moving in this direction,
pushing this anti-white communist and fraud.
It's amazing.
Do parents know that their kids are? I mean, they're literally idolizing a communist. Do a lot of Republicans know this?
A mass murdering ideology that's taken more lives than any other in the history of the world.
He wanted just flat out genocide. That quote I wrote earlier, genocide of German people. He hated them that much.
And science was an intricate part in controlling the mind of the German people. And even this, they actually lifted out in the episode itself. Take a look at this next clip and the intense discussion that they are weaving into this about the future of the scientific field in itself. You, as a viewer, are, of course, meant to side with Einstein. We know now, from their point of view, he was correct. He was the moral one. He was the justful, the good one, basically, in the scenario. So what are these people, then, we're going to look at now? Check this out.
And fact, not artificial formula based on arbitrary definition, or publicity-seeking fabrications of space and time.
Einstein.
This foreign influence has been gaining momentum for far too long, and it is your job, as the future of this great nation, to protect our Aryan respect for empirical observation. Abstruse theories, devoid of reality, have no place in our field. If we do not fight against them, I promise you, the foreigner will spread through these hallowed halls like a virus. And before we have time to react, German physics will be no more. It is time to stand up, gentlemen. Stand up for Germany.
Yeah, that's right.
But of course they try and portray it like, it's just because it's so threatening, because what he said was just shattering all of their science, and that's not true at all. I have on my screen right now 100 authors against Einstein. They're obviously tapping into this. This book details a lot of this. I mean, they ripped apart his stuff and they say why it's bullshit and why it needs to be cast out. And it has nothing to do with jealousy or because he was a Jew. It's because it was wrong, and they saw the direction that this science would take us.
I think in the TV show they can manage to get away with demonizing everything that was surrounding it, right? From their point of view, the victors, They won the war. They were the righteous people. They can manage to demonize the whole field that came in the wake of all of this too. Anything that had with German science to do at the time is by de facto wrong because they came from an immoral point of view. Race, concepts of reality itself, everything all these people were looking into at the time. Obviously, there's some truth to some of the claims because Einstein plagiarized much of it and took it as his own credit. So it's like a skewed, semi-demorphed, mutant version of reality that he has managed to push, on us. Let's just take a look at the last clip here too. They managed to demonize nationalism in one go here as well, which is of course very timely.
My application to announce my German citizenship. It's been approved. I'm officially stateless.
So now you have no passport? That seems reckless. Why would you do that?
Because nationalism is an infantile disease, the measles of mankind.
There we go. See, check that out. So this is what they do, right? They managed to weave this into the story as well. Very, very, very clever, right? That the kind of rise of nationalism that we see now. The smartest man alive, right? Einstein was against it. He said nationalism is a disease,
except
right?
for Jews, though.
Well,
he
of
loved Israel.
Yeah, that's not. But that's that's self-explanatory. See, they are a democracy in the Middle East. See, they are a righteous nation, and if it wasn't for them, oh my God, we'd be lost right now. Again, if these evil Nazis had their way, we would be back in the Stone Age by now. So absolutely, one of the things though I would just want to point out. I mean, the German psyche, the mind of the Germanic man is one of order and discipline. When the Saxons moved into places such as Transylvania, this is things there have been written about. Ordnung und Disziplin, order and discipline, right? That even in like 13th, 14th, and 15th century Hermstadt, which is Cebu today, which is in Transylvania, these legends go back, if you will, to the Saxon/Germanic people of a distinct mentality that they managed to create in the region while they were there. And I think that much of this is about order versus chaos in a way, that the version that they are trying to pitch to us, ladies and gentlemen, is one of chaos, of disarray, of non-order, and they're trying to conquer and win over us, where our vision of the world is one of Ordnung und Disziplin. It's order and discipline. This is now seen as fascism. Anything that's too strict and rigid and everything in its right place, and us cataloging things in the right order and having a correct view of the universe, that's fascism. Ultimately, that's fascism. If it's not moral relativism, which means you having a butt plug, up your bum or something, that's going to be if you don't accept that, you're a fascist, right? And you're ultimately a racist and everything else. So I see this as a very, very important battle, if you will, over the minds of man, the minds of European, the mind of the Westerner, right? How do we relate to the universe? What do we think about these big questions? How can we change and revert what has happened to us if we don't get the right footing on our concept of what it is that we're part of in itself as an experiment, as sentient live beings? So I think this is extremely fascinating, and this genius show is an expression, I feel, of their victory over us, over our mindset as a people, and I see it as a conquest. The book, mind you, was actually written. The series was written out of the perspective of the book that was written by Walter Isaacson, also another Jew, by the way. But he's written biographies on, Steve Jobs and Benjamin Franklin, Henry Kissinger, and of course Albert Einstein, and that's what it was based on. They even placed, of course, in the role as young Einstein a blonde and blue-eyed South African guy. Named Flynn. Of course, they made him look a little bit different in the show, but I don't know. It's just so aggravating watching this stuff.
Yeah, of course it is.
You know what I mean?
It is when you know the truth, when you've looked into it, when you've read some of the truth behind it and the history behind it. You can't believe this con job. It's a con job, and the world is falling for it. So many people are falling for it, but there's a lot of people that know differently and have done their homework and have looked into this and are seeing how this is being used.
So if you're new to this, definitely, please, ladies and gentlemen, listen to our show with Christopher Jon Bjerknes about Albert Einstein, the myth, the plagiarist, and the Zionist.
This was a clip from Weekend Warrior, our live TV show available for members. You can tune in live and watch the broadcast most Saturdays as we talk about the latest news and give you an update on the culture war. We also do interviews, run various segments, take calls, and have a lot of fun. You can also chat with fellow members during the show. Sign up now at redicemembers.com. All previous shows are in the archives. Thank you for watching. See you soon.